I must say, it does feel weird to do the, when I took it out, there was a piece of sweet corn on the end whilst I'm on camera, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, dirty jokes aside. It is Christmas. It is the 23rd here. I think it's still the 23rd where Maka is too, because he's forward in time, as he always is, ahead of us. Maka,
it's a grim, dark future.
It is. Yes, it is. It is. We are back with Grimdark therapy on the channel. It has been highly requested. Highly, highly requested. And of course, I keep saying to people, if you're hurting for some Grimdark therapy, there are other channels where our illustrious people get together for an episode. One is on Kaifa's channel, which is down below, and the other one is Outer Circle's channel, which is also down below. Go check them out. If you're hurting, a lot of you are saying, where's Grimdark therapy? Well, we alternate, my guy, we alternate. Everybody gets a slice of the pie. This is my slice. Welcome. And we're going to be discussing the 11th edition starter box set and what is going to be in it. First of all, how is everybody? And my first question of the day is, when do you think this box set is actually going to drop? When do you reckon?
I think it's safe to expect the usual summertime release. I believe that lines up with GW's fiscal year, right?
You're doing it next year? You're doing it 2026?
Well, that's when the clock would round about. 3-year edition cycle. Each major game system offset by 1 year.
3 years?
I mean, it could be. I'd prefer for editions to be longer in principle, like feelings of 10th edition aside. But am I incorrect with that being the effective runtime of 10th edition?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think 3 years is just a bit ridiculous. I also have a lot less sympathy for rules writers at Games Workshop when, by the way, folks, if you're sick of 10th edition, there is an Exiled edition. It's out now. It's finished. It's done. It works. It's been playtested. Shock horror. It's been playtested by actual people, and it actually works. So if you're looking for 40k, head on to the Patreon. You don't need to be giving me money. It's free. You just download it from there. It's just so if I release an update to it, you get pinged whenever there's an update. But yeah, Exiled edition 40k is out. So, you know, I have a lot less sympathy for rules writers at Games Workshop. One guy did that in 2 months, and I was going slowly. I was taking my time. Like, I kind of get why they release these rules so quickly, but at the same time, I'm refusing to accept there is an excuse for getting it wrong as often as they do. Obviously, more armies is more complex, but I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Is there something you're finding, Maka, with Horus Heresy as well? That you're sort of dialing back and going, hang on a minute, this isn't that difficult. Like, why can't you get this right? Or is it the other way?
No, it's pretty easy to write mostly. But I mean, a lot of the groundwork is being laid for us, so that's what makes it easier to write, because you're just going, okay, these are the things that don't work. In the case of the Horus Heresy, we were literally talking about this last night, Darcy and myself. We will, because a lot of people have asked, like, oh, but why aren't you basing Circle Edition on Second Ed? And it's like, well, I looked at it, it's like, I have to change so much of Second Ed to make it into what I think is a viable product. It's easier to just change First Edition to have more Second Ed stuff. It's like, do you change 80% of a product, or do you change 20% of a product? And I found that it was like, well, if I go back to First Edition, it worked pretty well. Then I can just change a few things in that. And really what has taken time is compiling all of the stuff that's come out since First Ed dropped, which is a lot of stuff, you know, because I want everything to be playable. And that's actually what the time killer is. And then coming up with rules where, I call it the monkey's paw. Right? Rules that are written well, to me, are monkey's paw. It's like, you wish for this, granted, however, this, you got this as well, you know, like, oh, I wish for Terminators as troops, granted, every time you lose a Terminator squad, you lose victory points. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Doing that well is the hard part of writing rules, because you've got to balance the fun and the theme with the detractions that you're baking into the product, right? So that is difficult to do and have it feel rewarding and not punishing. Whereas what Games Workshop, I personally think, tends to do with their products is go, here you go, here is a buff. So you buy the product or something. And then
Yeah.
people use it, and then they're like, "Oh, my army feels really strong." And then the person on the receiving end's like, "Cool, but I feel like I'm being violated physically. I don't like this."
Yeah.
So it's finding that middle point. That's the hard part.
On our central thing, when do you think we're going to be seeing this box set that we're about to build? When do you think they're going to be throwing it at us?
LVO will probably preview it. That seems to be pretty consistent. I definitely imagine that we'll be seeing it leaked in May, probably. If not earlier, probably leaked in April.
Well, it's coming out
and then
in
confirmed
June.
late May.
It was coming out
Yeah,
in June,
leaked
July.
in April,
Yeah.
confirmed in May with the exact same pictures but less fucking grainy because I don't know. Are they doing the leaks in house these days, or is that just me and my tinfoil hat?
I think in
Like,
some
could
cases
drum up a little hype.
they are.
Yeah, what Kaifa says, bit of both. Bit of column A, bit of column B. There'll be disgruntled people who release things, and there will be, calculated releases just to test the waters of different things. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the things that we've seen leaked, quote unquote, and then haven't come out, which has happened in the past, has been them releasing something they've actually done and gone, oh, when it's like roundly mocked. But then again, Kotias came out, so I guess that flies in the face of that. Yeah,
was roundly mocked.
Yes, I think 2026 is a good shout for 11th edition. I think it's going to be, as Kuiper said, a 3-year cycle, which is ridiculous when you think about it for an actual flagship game series. 40k used to run on RPG time, which is, when do you get a new RPG? Pendragon, for instance, it's once every 8-9 years you get a new edition because the old one works so well, that kind of a thing. It's almost like it's a product that's made to last. Whereas 40k is a vehicle for making money. It's not really a product that they give you. It's more of a gateway drug to get your wallet open for more things. So yeah, I think summer next year will be a good premise to work on. So the theme of this episode is, what do we think is going to be in the next box set, or shall we build the next box set for 11th edition? Does anybody have any, shall we say, a sprinkling of ideas of what they would like to see? Let's do the ideal version first while we tear it all down. What would be your ideal? Let's go with Kaifa first. What would be your ideal box set for 11th edition? What do you want to see in it?
An ideal box set would not be Ultramarines. I think we touched on something last episode that was pretty interesting for the 50th anniversary, right? Like a Crimson Fist versus Orcs.
I think it was Orcs,
for like like that would be, I think, the most tasteful way to do the must-have Space Marines on the starter box, I think. And it is sort of line up with that 50th anniversary. I think more realistically, it's possible to see something like Orcs or Dark Eldar. I think those are the two expected Xenos factions if we're following the trend of having a Xenos faction as the heel of the edition, kind of like with 10th and Tyranids and Necrons before that. Yeah, I think that's a safe bet for the faction distribution anyways. Sorry, Mac, go ahead.
No, I love it because I think we've been doing this too long with one another, because I'm gonna play your little pink flute there, as it were, because I would love to see. I won't go as far as saying Crimson Fists. I think they're just so wedded to Ultramarines, it'll just be another Ultramarine starter box. But I wanted Orcs as well, and in fact, I was mowing the lawns today because you guys get snow, but we get unseasonable, beautiful warmth because Southern Hemisphere, and I have 1.1 acres, so I had a lot of lawn mowing to do. So I've come up with a whole list of what I want in this box. If brave enough for me to go down that route.
You sure? Oh yeah.
So, chapter 1. Yes, Orcs. I want to see Orcs in it. Believe it or not, I've never built a 40k Orc army. I've always wanted to, never have. I have 3 potential major characters that I put in there, and I would go for a named character, but a lesser named character. So they're sort of in descending order of what I think is appropriate. So the first one is Mech Boss Buzzgob. So this guy is out of the, if you remember the Forge World with the Raven Guard versus the Orcs, that's where this character comes from. So Imperial Armor Volume 8.
Hell yeah, he looks amazing. Putting him on screen.
So Mech Boss Buzzgob, and he's a pretty cool character in that he's sort of a tech marine type orc. You know, he's a big mech and a very, very powerful one. I'd prefer to sort of update with a new sculpt, obviously, and to head down the sort of cybernetically enhanced body, really leaning into that. The second pick is Gruck Face Ripper. So Gruck Face Ripper is a Sanctus Reach character and was blown up essentially in a mech boy accidentally was trying to do an experiment and used a lot of dynamite in the experiment for some reason to improve him, but he did survive, it's rumored, and it'd be great, again, chance to bring him back with cybernetic enhancements. You can see where I'm going with this, I hopefully can hint at. The third and final option is Wazdaka Gutsmech. So this guy is essentially your Speed Freaks character. Do you remember Doom Rider? It's like Doom Rider, but for orcs, right? So an orc biker character. Now, he's pretty cool because, you know, you get a bike character, and we haven't had that for a while with orcs, but he's the bottom of my list of characters I'd like to see, just because he's on a bike, and that doesn't typically make for great starter sets. It's better to just have your character on foot, or like a jump pack at most. Yeah. So those are the three characters I would say is the major character. I really would lean towards the first two, probably with Mech Boss Buzzgob, because you bring back a legacy character, and that allows you to do things like you can have your fun tie-in novels, anything like that, and you're not really fiddling with the lore of the universe too much to bring back one of these characters, because you don't now have to explain why, you know, Gazkal Thraka is in a starter set or something, you know, fighting no-name captain number 12. It's like, here is a cool character whose background is still open enough that we can play with it to fit him into any situation, and we could build a cool theme around him. Now, with that, I want my minor character in the box to be a Boiler Boy. So Boiler Boy, these are sort of like a Mech Boy, Pain Boy equivalent. They're an older orc unit. We're talking like Gorka Morka, 2nd, 3rd edition era orcs. So the Boiler Boys, I do have a picture actually of them. I can flick across to the chat.
Sure.
So these guys, essentially you could farm them out to perform some roles that you'll see in this set as I go through the further units. So I think that they would be a really good choice for your lesser character. For the elite unit in there, I want to see the Scar Boys come back. So Scar Boys right now are sort of an upgrade for Goths. Well, not even right now, like we're talking like 8th edition era. But Scar Boys are basically all knobs, all Scar Boys are knobs, but not all knobs are going to be Scar Boys. It's sort of the same, right? And you'll see this repeated a lot in the Codex and online. And what they are is basically orcs who are covered in scars because they've proved their worth as like standing up for a fight. But unlike knobs, they don't really wear armor because they're proud of their scars and taking the hits. So this would be adding in a squad of like 3. You know, they love their 3s in 40k. 3, preferably 5, because orcs should have greater numbers, but big models, you know, like 50 mil based, big black orcs.
Big lads.
Yeah, who are covered in like scars, and, you know, they're each basically a minor hero.
These are your
So that would be
40k
my
big
elites.
uns.
Yes, and something like Goth's clan could take lots of them, but anyone else can take some of them.
That's cool. I like that idea. I think we run with that, you know. I think that's it. If we're going to make a collective box, which I think we should do, I like the idea of being Crimson Fist. I think that's a really good idea. I like the idea of being orcs as the opponent, because we've not seen them in so long. So yeah, I like the idea. Are we okay with the idea of Macca's we're going with the Mech Boys, the main guy? Because my opinion was to have Face Ripper as the main orc, and still have this mech character in there as like a secondary character who's in there. because normally you'll have like, the Space Marine side will normally have a chapter master or a captain and a librarian. Do you know what I mean? So we will have our main war leader in Face Ripper, because he's a normal looking orc and it makes sense to put them together if he's had cybernetic implants, to have his main henchman be, what's his name? Something Gob?
A Big Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big,
I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got so mech boss Buzzgob.
Buzzgob, yeah.
But,
So it
but
makes sense
either
that
way,
way.
I think the Boiler Boys works better because they're a mix of Pain Boy and Mech Boy. So it gives you something different you don't already have for your lesser character. Now, where this gets interesting, and I'll get to the theme of the box, but you'll figure out what the theme is towards the end. The main unit, Cyborgs. I want to bring back Cyborgs. Cyborgs are, it's in the name, they're cyborgs, so basically like cybernetic enhancements like Terminator, like RoboCop, like servitors, right? Imperial servitors, but you're basically the Iron Hands equivalent of orcs, where they've been, damaged in battle, or they just thought it was better to have a claw instead of a regular arm, so they're just covered in mechanical enhancements. So cyborgs, these guys have had models in many editions of the game, but there's just nothing out there anymore for them. So this would be your main infantry in the box set, a little bit more elite than what you had previously, which I think works really well as something to square up to the Marines part of the box without having to absolutely fill the box with models. So cyborgs.
I like it.
And it works well with having the Boiler Boys and the Mech Boss or Gruck Face Ripper, either one, because it's saying like they've created this army of enhanced orcs.
Gotcha.
So, for the heavy support elite choice in there, it's going to be Tank Busters. They don't have a current sculpt. They've got some minis that are floating around, some old white metals, and they've got some in like one of the kill teams. Proper unit of Tank Busters. Anti-tank weapons are fun, and orcs don't have them currently. They've got more just pure DACA, like flash kits and stuff, and looters. So I'd like to see Tank Busters in plastic. Just to me, it's I'm trying to pick units they don't have as the must-haves. For their smaller, so every like starter box has that elite couple units, right? Like the Screamer Killer. For the Tyranids, they had the Screamer Killer, and they also had the that other thing that was like a spidery thingy.
The Psychophage.
Yes. And so I think the same thing here. You need 2 elite units that get bigger. So the first one, Grot Tanks.
Hell yeah, dude.
So remember the Forge World Grot Tanks? They're sort of bigger than a Rapier Carrier, smaller than a traditional tank.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're a lot of fun because that's the sort of thing where it's like you can square that up to like a Primaris Terminator, right? And you'd be like, okay, the Orc stands, or the Gretchen in this case, stands a chance, right? So that's the lesser of the two, and the bigger, more impressive one, I want to bring back the Flacker Track. If you remember the Flacker Track model, I'll pop one in the chat. Not a great picture.
Oh,
but
no,
the Flacker Track is.
Yeah.
It's like a let's do it, right? Bring in a whole bunch of just DACA, because that's what I don't know. This is why I'm staying away from weapons that would be like big blasts. I looked at like the Grot Trike, where it has like that one giant Grot missile on the back of the tricycle and things like that. It's like, because I liked the idea of getting Grots in there, but it's like it's got to be practical to the box set, and I think having like a Orc major vehicle in the box set. That's fun and they don't currently have, and the Flak Track, it suits that exact thing, would be perfect. So that's the Orc half of the box. What do you guys think?
How many boys are we having in this? Like, how many boys are actually present in the Orc half of the box?
Well, I think 4 Grot Tanks, the 1 Flak Track, 10 Tank Busters, probably 10 Cyborgs, 3 Scarboys to 5 Scarboys, 2 Boiler Boys at most, probably just 1 to go in with like the Cyborgs, and then the character.
I would vote for not dropping anything
because
but
they're more elite orcs.
Yeah, they are. But I like boys. So considering that they're almost worthless as a box set, let's be honest, because there's so many of them. At least we can put in about 10 to 20 boys in here, like just normal lads.
Well, you could go 20 cyborgs. 20 cyborgs would be fine in there. I'm trying to stay away from the current produced models.
So we can make the cyborgs more boys-ish. So they've got like one metal arm or a metal leg. They've been worked on in some way, tinkered with, but they're like the standard troops. So we've bumped that up to 20. So we've got like a horde of them, or the beginnings of a horde of them. Because that means you can take this half the box set in any direction you want. You can be more mechanical with it if you want, or you can be more of the face ripper kind. You can have his dude on there. Maybe the lore is face ripper's taking a hell of a pounding. He's been found by this mech boy, and he's been put back together. And he's also found his lads and he's put them back together as well. And now we've got this like cobbled together mess of an orc war that's now rampaging across Crimson Fist space. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. Or they've gone back to Rin's world, maybe. You know what I mean? They've gone back there because it's become like a hub for an orc place. Like a hub for an orc. They're trying to turn it into a rock by breaking it up. And the Crimson Fist have said, no, we're not having that. And they've gone and launched a crusade back to Rin's world to retake it. And that'd be pretty cool. As like a story to get these two together. But loving it so far. Kaifa, what do you reckon?
There we go. Sorry, I was on mute. I like where it's headed. I mean, I guess on the Crimson Fist question versus Ultramarines, I suppose it would just come down to whether or not how hard GW wants to milk nostalgia versus cement the Ultramarines poster boy branding, right? That'll kind of be like how that falls. I'm not like if it was Ultramarines and not Crimson Fist, I don't think it's the biggest deal. And if we were going to explore the Dark Eldar box, then I would more push for a Black Templars poster boy to milk that nostalgia from that older starter set. But I think Orcs and Crimson Fist is like a classic pairing. It works well enough. If we do that or Ultramarines, I'm indifferent. I do see the desire to want to include a unit of boys in the box set, and I think if we're trying to hit those tick boxes for serving the current range, the current unit of boys is like half. It's like a mixed unit with not enough options to make a full melee unit or a full DACA unit.
Yeah, brilliant.
So there is a need. Yeah, it's a terrible idea, right? Who wants a unified squad for a specific purpose? But to that end, I think it would be nice to have another, a different build. A different set of sprues to build a unit of boys in the starter set. I think that would go a long way in that respect. But if the box is like themed to be all cybernetic and special, I guess if orcs are the poster boys, I think it's easy enough to have a couple of follow-up kits the way they did with Tyranids and Necrons before, a few months into the new edition for the new wave of orcs, right? And then you could probably get the boys kit refresh, or the more built out one with more options anyways, in that period of releases rather than the box itself. I don't know if then we're maybe with that you're kind of able to have your cake and eat it too, to the point you were having, North. But I think the grouping of units that Mecca provided, I think that's more or less fine for a starter box. You have your main warlord, your support in the big mech.
I just kind of think it's time to be kind. I think with the record profits this company has had, I don't think 20 boys and a load of nice stuff for orc guys is much to ask for. Do you know what I mean? I think we're being reasonable to say these things Macro suggested should be in the box, but also you should have 2 large troop choices in the box for orcs ready to go, at least 20.
So it really feels like you can start an army in a real sense for the orcs.
Yeah, there's 2 armies in a box.
I prefer that for the starter boxes.
That's the good thing about cyborgs. Yeah, the good thing about cyborgs is they are just regular orcs. They're just tougher.
Yeah.
So, because they're the iron hands of orcs. They've had their limbs replaced and that kind of thing with just like random like mechanical legs. Because why not? It's orc logic. So you can have them in numbers. You can have 20 in the box. It's not going to be overwhelming if you did so. All right. So the Marine half of the box now. And again, I'm trying to keep it generic, and I'm trying to go what is viable. And the Marine half of the box gave me a lot of problems because I really don't want a Marine half of a box. I know they will do it. But the problem is Games Workshop blows their wad, brings the Marines all here, which means there's not a lot of stuff to introduce that's new into the box. Instead, you find yourself revisiting old stuff. And some of them, when I say old, some of it's like 8th edition. So not exactly what I would call old. So to start with, I think something like the Black Templars Castellan, but every Legion version of the Castellan console that they have for the Black Templars. So, the John Blanche artwork holding these little axe, that guy.
Yep.
So it'll be something like the Stronghold Castellan. Okay. Now, the theme of this box set, I should mention, is going to be a attack on a Forge world or a Forge Fane that's aligned with the Space Marines. Okay. That's the open-ended nature of it. The Orcs are wanting more mechanical bits to enhance themselves with, and it's the perfect planet to attack for a war. And there is a Marine garrison defending said planet. That is the scope of the box. Okay. So the Castellan is essentially the Marine in charge of that garrison. That's his job, and that is a different character to what we've had in the past for the Space Marines. So think of the Black Templars Castellan, that's your leaping off point for this guy, okay? More of an officer who wasn't expecting to be in charge of this action. He's more of like a rear echelons officer, as it were, like you're in charge of, just looking after this garrison and making sure they're trained and their equipment's in order. But this is like a desk job, Paired with the lesser character in it being the Tech Marine. So the Tech Marine, we're talking a 8th edition, right at the start of 8th edition sculpt. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world if we got a new one. And I would probably sync it up with a Thunderfire cannon because, well, we don't have one. So to me, that makes logical sense. It could even be some kind of new, not Thunderfire, not Rapier, but something else type cannon, but some sort of like cannon type piece or fire platform. And that could even include a group of servitors or heavy servitors that are working with him in order to make that character something different. And again, like to show like the cyborgs on the one hand versus like human augments on the other potentially as an option. For the elite sort of squad, I was thinking that maybe we could see the Space Marine Centurions. So you remember the big clunky
can I make
6th edition?
Who could forget?
Can I make some before we jump into that? Can I make some
shoot away
a controversial request? If we're not doing Rin's World and we're doing a Forge World, I would like to do Iron Hands. They don't get any love ever. And this just seems too good an opportunity to have machine-on-machine conflict, especially like bringing back the cannon, the Space Marine cannon, the Thunderfire cannon. That was the final straw. I was like, okay, if we're doing this, like let's do it. Like let's have. I don't really. Kind of my autism coming out, I suppose, but I don't like it when Games Workshop say, oh, in this box set we're gonna have Imperial Fist, but they're gonna be really, really, really into like mechs and stuff. No, just do Iron Hands, man. That's their thing, right? Yeah, I if we had like a Demon Hunters box set that Grey Knights weren't in, I'd be like, oh, why? Why is it Ultramarines again? I know all Marines can do basically everything, but I think if we're going down the mech route, the poster boys of mechanical stuff need to be in the box set, and also. We never see them. We never see the Iron Hands. They never get any time in the sun. As much as I love the Crimson Fists for the anniversary stuff, they've had stuff in the past, at least more than the Iron Hands have had. So I don't know. Do you reckon we're sitting okay on that, or would you want to keep the Crimson Fists?
I mean, I agree with your choice in Iron Hands over Crimson Fists, given the theme of the box. I think it does work better.
Yeah.
And who doesn't like Iron Hands? It's a great Legion.
It
Great.
can be Iron Hands. The beauty of the box that I'm trying to create here is it's not stuck with anyone. It has to be this faction.
Yeah.
I'm talking
So
about
you
the
could
artwork on the box.
characters-
Yeah. Who was
Yeah,
actually
even the
is
orcs that
confirmed.
well, you see, if I put Crimson Fist and I put Pedro Cantor in there, it has to be a Crimson Fist Pedro Cantor, right? Like
Yeah.
he is that
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
And so it pigeonholes it a little bit, and it's like, oh, you're going to end up with a bunch of shit Pedro Cantor conversions. Let's face it. So instead, by making it generic, and it's like you can have a couple of named orcs, especially lesser named ones, because they're not affiliated. I don't know any particular warband that Gruck Face Ripper is attached to, and even Mech Boss Buzzgob, I don't particularly think he has a warband that is like he must play with. It's just he's got his own like units that hang around him, like Buzzgob's Dreadheads, or you got Gruck Face Ripper and Scraxolot and that kind of thing. So by the more generic I make it, it's like it gives you more scope of what you can make the box set themed around. You know, we can even put Sons of Medusa on there if you wanted, and have bright green Space Marines on there for all it matters. The point I'm trying to make with the unit selection is it's open to do that, which means therefore anyone could play any chapter out of it.
It's the same as when you have Ultramarines on the box. Like you know, you paint your Space Marines however you want, but the poster boys of this edition are the Ultramarines because they're on the box. That's what I'm pulling for, basically, rather than any rules or anything. If we're going more mech style, the story of the box, like this is where this box comes from. If we're going for a Forge world, should be, you know, the mechanicum of I've called in the Iron Hands, the big boys, to come and get rid of this massive war that's just repurposed this entire Forge world into just a rock of mech boys. So it's going to be this apocalyptic battle between the two. I think that'd be super cool. Like I'd want to buy this. This would be right up my street.
So one of the things that I want to see redone is the Space Marine Centurions. The Centurion, we all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Devastators and Assault Squad, right?
Yeah, so you've got the Devastators are the ones with the Daka. They've got grav cannons or like giant ass bolt gun type things, and the other ones have like these weird siege drills. They've shown with things like the Indomitus Terminators they can absolutely knock it out of the park revisiting an old design. My pitch though to change these up and make them look a bit better is I've sent through a picture to the chat of Cor Ferron from Horus Heresy. And if you look at Cor Ferron, the back of the model there, you'll see it's a powered armored Marine, and you can see the Marine in the back of the model. Right? So I want that where you can really easily see the Primaris Marine in the back of the model. You can see the Marine in the back of the Centurion, but because the suit's so bloated and overloaded on the current models, it's kind of more vague. I want the suit to look that sleek from behind. And the weapons, the arms, like Cor Ferron, those unique cores and stuff, that kind of a look there is also what I want to be seeing on the models, right?
So it's like he just stepped into it and then he locked himself in place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, in his instance, because he's a lesser Marine and he can't interface the Black Carapace, that kind of thing. But, you know, something to that degree would, and to be fair, the Centurion Assault Squad is a 2013 era kit.
Yeah.
So that's far enough back, I think, that it can justify doing a full-on resculpt of that unit.
Oh yeah.
The next squad I want to see redone is the Intercessors. The Primaris Intercessors. Yep.
Okay.
Because you're talking a 8th edition for the sculpts. Very much lacking in what I want to see in Marines. And there's a little bit of selfish request, but one of my big problems with Primaris Marines is they're all the same. They're too perfect, too similar. With old school tactical squads, when you look at them, you got different helmets in there. You got a couple of different shoulder pads in there. You know, they've got little relics and purity seals and all. Intercessors don't have any of that, really. You know, they're all very much like they all came out of an assembly line. And so it's like, you know what? It's been basically 10 years. That's probably enough time that we can revisit the intercessors and just do a little bit more with them. Maybe even look at transitioning them more towards the standard tactical squad. So, like, of old. So give them some more weapons options in there that aren't just cool pattern bolt guns. You know? Maybe you could even introduce in, like, a couple of guys in heavy intercessor armor. You know, something like that. And just redo that box. Just a slight tweak and an improvement on it. You know?
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I
I laugh, but I'm with you. It's just funny to
I just wanted to, if we're redoing the intercessors, again, I always look at these things from a lore standpoint. I think this box set for the Space Marine should be this is what you can do, this is what you can make, right? These are not normal intercessors, these are guys who have been through the ringer, they've been on a crusade, and now they're throwing themselves at this Forge world that's been taken over. So, you know, they're like a hodgepodge of different armor marks, and they've got...
They were resting and rearming.
Yes.
After a campaign on this Forge.
So they've got... Some of them have got the old grill helmets on Primaris Marines. Some of them, you know, you see them just bolting on pieces onto their armor. So they're kind of orky. You know, do you know what I mean? They've been repurposing old pieces of armor that they've got lying around their ships and stuff to get back in the field. I think that would be a really good way of reintroducing the Primaris Marines. You can still have your old ones, of course, they're the same size, but you've reintroduced, like, conversion to the hobby. Like, okay, this is what you can do. We did this because we sculpted it, but, you know, you've got these old helmets, you've got these old shoulder pads, you've got these old legs, you know, you can use them, you know, that kind of thing. Maybe not legs, because then you'd have like a lopsided Marine, but you know what I'm saying. You've got these different weapons, different armor sets that you can mix and match. Some of them should have Corvus helmets for no reason, because they were just lying around, you know, and they should have bullet holes in them, scratches in them. You know, they should be welded. You have to weld mark. Should be all over them.
I wouldn't go as far as that, because
You know?
I think that'd be a bit too much for amateur painters, like
Yeah.
the target audience of new players.
Yeah.
But things like, for example, if you look at the current intercessors, every one of them has the same skull with wings on their chest.
Yeah.
So it's like that right there. If you look at old tactical Marines, we know some of them had cables across the chest.
Yes.
Some of them have Imperial Aquila across the chest. Some of them have a plain skull on the chest. Some have nothing on there. So it's like, that's the route I would head down. Just
I think you can look to
a bit of visual difference, you know?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I just want to say as an easy example, look at the new Blood Claws from Space Wolves. I think that's basically what you're describing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a modern looking kit of a classic design, and it has that more lived in what you'd expect from a 40k Space Marine, right? Not a fresh to the war, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just something to differentiate them from the original Primaris Intercessors are a very lazy sculpt. In that, you know, they wanted to Apple iPhone the Marines is what I sort of term it. You know what I mean? Like really cleaning them, and they're just overly clean now. There's none of that character that you think of when you think of Space Marines, you know, like each one of them is an individual hero, right? And it makes sense for intercessors to, when you're talking about like the original Indomitus Crusade, like they're all fresh out of the cryo vats. Well, they're not fresh anymore. It's been a couple of centuries. So shouldn't we be seeing a bit of that? And again, like the Blood Cores is such a great example you've picked there, Kaifa, because look at the Blood Cores. It's like, that's what I'm talking about, you know? With like just different markings on the chest, you know, some have holsters, some don't. And they've just got that little bit of differentiate, that little bit of something that just makes them feel a little bit more individual.
Yeah, it gives them character, right? And then, like, look at any older 40k Space Marine artwork, and you'll see the distinction you're drawing to. I had this thought. It's not a complete tangent, but bear with me. I thought it would be kind of neat, because I think everyone feels the criticism you're relaying with the current iteration of Intercessors. There's too clean, too fresh from the 3D printer. Do you know what I mean? It's just, they don't feel lived in at all. But I thought it would have been pretty neat for the 8th edition starter set to have that clean, fresh for the Indomitus Crusade hot off the presses aesthetic for your intercessors. And then if they're going to do a multi-part plastic set down the road in 8th edition, which they did, you can have that, what we're describing here, the more lived-in version of the intercessors, the ones that you would expect would how they'd look living in the grim darkness of the far future, where there's only war. And then you can have the overly clean intercessors that we're unfortunately stuck with currently as just from the monopose starter box in 8th edition. I was tickled by the possibility of that alternate timeline. Sadly, we didn't really end up with it. But look, we can course correct with this box.
I'm with you. I agree. I think course correction is what we want from the box set, to be honest with you. Going that way. Definitely.
And again, if I had my way, I wouldn't be putting any Marines in it. Just really want to reiterate that point.
Well, yeah, but we got to be realistic.
I'm just a slave to reality.
Yeah. We got to be realistic.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of, obviously the Orcs had... So 1-for-1 so far. We've had our HQ. We've had our lesser character. We've had our elite sort of unit, the Centurions versus the Scar Boys. We've had our basic guys, the Cyborgs versus the Intercessors. Now I want to get on to the heavy support unit, which was Tank Busters for Orcs. And this time out, we've got two choices, right? And this is the monkey paw curling a finger, because we have what would be cool in a Warhammer sense and what would be cool in a, oh, radical, how cool is that thing? Which one do you want to hear first?
I just want to hear Macca's interpretation of a hippie again. That was cool.
Okay, so
give the superficial hippie one first.
This new Space Marines, dude. Whoa.
You'd be familiar with, so you've got like the Infernus squad, the Primaris Infernus squad, or the Primaris Eradicators. So Infernus armed with Flamers, Eradicators armed with Melters. Now, in the case of this unit, I would suggest that, well, if you're going against Orcs, you're fighting a Horde. If you're fighting a Horde, one thing Marines don't have a lot of these days is man-portable anti-infantry. So, Volkite weapons. Big, honkin' stonkin' Volkites. The Primaris Eradicators have the multi-melter / the melter guns. I, by the way, hate that. It's like, pick a weapon to arm your squad with. Either the big one or the little one. Don't mix and match. It just gets
don't do that. Yeah.
The creepy illusion of all warg your option.
Yeah, so you get two choices. More models with more Volkites, or fewer models with bigger Volkites. I think fewer models. 3 dudes with stonking Volkites. Because again, if they're powerful and good at anti-infantry, it makes the visual gap between the quantity of Orcs versus the quality of Marines more distinct. So that's the one option, and that's the, oh, wow, how awesome are Volkites. You know they had those in the Horus Heresy? Like, you know, like the Warhammer equivalent of a film snob. The less cool option, but the one that appeals more to me is, let's take heavy intercessors and go all in on the heavy bolters that they come with. So again, that unit for some reason is like 4 dudes with rifles and one with a heavy bolter, which is stupid. Cause like, why aren't those guys with rifles just wearing normal intercessor armor? Like, makes no sense.
It's a slightly different bolt rifle back, huh?
Yeah, it has a different mag.
You know?
Anyway,
it might as well. No, your point stands. It might as well be a heavy bolter. And funnily enough, in the rules, that's what they ended up doing with them.
Yeah. So I would say double down on that. Let's go for like the was it like Hellstorm heavy bolter or the Executor heavy bolter, whatever you want to call it. But go for like a full-on squad of those, and commit to it, right? Make them distinct to your existing heavy intercessors, or preferably just fuck off the heavy intercessors.
Have both of these ideas by putting the Volkite weapons on the Centurions.
Well, I was thinking of them being assault Centurions, because you know Games Workshop likes to say, these are your monopose slop, we'll make the other kit later. For example, Terminators versus assault Terminators. So they like to leave the gates open for that. And I'm like, well, I want these to be assault Centurions, so the Marines have something that can fight the Orcs in close combat, so it's not just shooting versus combat the whole game. But I'm I'm open to ideas there. So yeah, and I would say 3 heavy intercessor armored models with either Volkites or heavy bolters.
I like that
as
idea.
my elite pick.
I like the idea. I think if we're going with assault centurions, so what do we have so far? So we've got our normal heavy intercessors that are taking the place of the normal intercessors. We're having 3 large Volkite wearing Marines. So while we're talking like a smaller, so I'm kind of confused on. We were talking about the heavy intercessors as if they're replacing the 10-man unit of normal intercessors before. Is that what we're doing, or are they going to be separate?
No.
Okay.
No, two units. The intercessors are like your basic tac squad
normal,
that comes
yeah.
in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your heavy intercessors is going to be your support unit.
So there'll be 5 men, Volkite weapons ready to go.
3 probably. 3 with big Volkites, or
3, yeah.
5 with little ones.
Okay.
I think 3 with big ones.
Yep.
Would be better in the sense of the box.
And we got assault centurions getting a rework.
Because it makes the numbers again, yeah, and the assault centurions could possibly be on 60mm bases. They'd be huge, but I mean everything's Primaris-ified, and the thing is, look how big the new Terminators are. They're going to be bigger than that. So it may be.
I would prefer 50s personally. I hear what you're saying. But...
yeah, I don't think they should be on 60s for the record. But you know they'll be big. They'll be bigger than Terminators.
Yeah, they should be bigger than Terminators. And current Terminators are big and hefty, so I get you. And they are on 40s. I'm just very I'm like size creep defense force here.
60's
that's
big.
The lens I'm looking at.
60's
Yeah,
big.
I think of Chaos Space Marine Obliterators, and I'm like, I don't think they need to be bigger than that.
Especially for a Marine, like for a construct that a Marine is inside, 60mm is huge. Like that is a lot of space there on the base.
I think 50 will work well. Like, look at new Saturnines are on 50s, right? And that's like enough bulk for what we're describing here.
Yeah. All right. So if we're doing that, so we have our troop choice with our 10 intercessors. We have our expanded troop choice in our 3 to 5. We'll vote on that later. I like the idea of 5. More is good. Of heavy intercessors with big old Volkite weapons, and we have 3 assault centurions ready to do siege breaking, that kind of thing. So we got a troop, an elite, and a heavy support / elite. If we're going down the route of sieges, of iron hands, fast attack probably shouldn't be involved because it's not what they do.
Correct. Then I'll be interested to see what you pick. What I if you can guess what I picked for the final unit.
Well, I'll be going tanks. I would like a tank, but okay, we're not going tanks. Okay.
If I had to guess, would it be by chance an ironclad dreadnought?
Either an ironclad dreadnought, correct, or a venerable dreadnought.
Okay.
I think an ironclad would work better for an ironclad brutalis dreadnought type thing, or maybe an ironclad ballistis dreadnought.
Okay.
But brutalis sort of works better. So instead of having like the claw hands, which the brutalis has, it would have like if you know the assault centurions, you know how they've got the big siege drills under their arms. Yeah, those as fists. So like the drill fists. So drill fists on a brutalis dreadnought, and instead of it won't have like that weird 50 cal thing the brutalis has on the back. And it would probably be armed with Volkites as its little like nipple guns.
I like the idea of that.
Or melters. Either or.
I like the idea of that more than a tank, to be honest with you, because if we're doing sieges, tanks are good, but they would also be quite bulky for the box, and the ones that you'd use in a siege are massive. If I had my complete, wish fulfillment, I'd be porting over one of the amazing Coruscant Space Marine tanks that looks like it can handle a siege, like can knock down walls, that kind of thing, and I put that in the box. But okay, here's the plastic version of that in 40k. This is what we're doing, because we're doing relic stuff with this army. That's what
I didn't mention what I want to do with the gun arm on my brutalis dreadnought.
Okay.
Hurricane Bolter, the return of the Hurricane Bolter.
Classic.
Because that's what the old Forge World Ironclad had. It had a Hurricane Bolter for the right arm, and it had the Siege Wrecker for the left arm.
Yeah.
And I want to bring that back. So it's got the drill hand and it's got the Hurricane Bolter. But the Hurricane Bolter would be like the modern, Belisarius call pattern, fucking ammunition, whatever.
No, yeah, but it's the spiritual successor. Look, you've won me over. Like, I'm a sucker for the Ironclad Dreadnought. I can't help but yield. I love it. It's the coolest.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I think let's talk about characters.
Hello, I'm Adam.
Like who are we doing in terms of characters and in terms of who's going to be in this box? We've got 2 Orc characters. Now we need 2 Space Marine characters, and I think.
Well, as I said, the Castellan and the Tech Marine are my pick. So Castellan being Castellan being your big one, and your Tech Marine being your minor one.
Yeah, and maybe it's Tech Marine with a variant type Tech Marine with Thunderfire or some, Belisarius version of a Thunderfire cannon.
Yep,
New
or
and
a
improved, of
Servitor
course.
squad, or both.
That'd be cool.
I would
like
to put a space on the Dreadnought's base where you can actually put the Tech Marine's base if you want to. So he's like fixing the Dreadnought to give it buffs and things. That would be pretty cool. And obviously you can take him off and have him be his own thing. But that's one little change I'd make. But the actual Castellan and the or champion, equivalent, and your Tech Marine, it seems like a good way to go. Yeah. So that's the box set. That's what we would want to happen. Yeah. So we've crystallized the box set. It is a
if we're limited to Space
and
Marines,
the name of the
then
box
that's
set.
what we want.
Yeah.
Oh,
no.
I probably need to
we
give
did
the
it within
name of the
reason.
box set, don't I?
Yeah. We're going to name the box set. I mean, we did it within reason, didn't we? So we did it like it's.
Yes, this is what I think is more than feasible, more than practical for a box set, keeping in line with Games Workshops and their marketing strategies. So this has not been wish listing. I think this has been very, very reasonable. If I was told you're working for Games Workshop, you've got very strict constraints, I think this is what I could spit out. The name at this point, the best I could sort of come up with was based on the Mechanicum, and it was either going to be Cybernetica or Reductor.
Nice.
Named after those Mechanicum factions. So, like Warhammer 40,000 Cybernetica. And it's literally fucking cyborgs versus Iron Hands or something. So that's my pitch.
I like it. I want to do one other thing before we dive into what they're probably going to do as our prediction. Each of you have 5 minutes to run down all of the constraints that we put into this last thought experiment are off. You can have whatever you want in your 11th edition starter box set to start a new era of 40k. I think Macca's already got one in mind, so we'll give Kaifer 5 minutes to just run it round his head as Macca's having a talk. Macca, what do you think? You've got 5 minutes. What do you reckon for your all bets are off, the gloves are off, what is in your ideal starter box set that you would go instant buy, in my wallet, in my trolley right now, let's do it?
I have hated 2 faction box sets for a long time, so I think the Orc half I love, but there are 2 different other halves I could put in. One would be a Chaos Space Marine Fabius Bile themed thing where it's like enhanced Marines and stuff in there and a few other things, but that's less interesting. I think the more interesting thing I would have in the other half is Dark Elder. So Dark Elder with a bunch of reworks of old stuff and fleshing out their range a bit more, basically, in that box set, with hoping to tie into a proper new Dark Eldar force, which would bring out like a new Asdrubal Vect and the Tantalus and that kind of thing. And this version of the box would be like probably Homunculus. Let me think. Probably, Homunculus would be in there as one of my characters because I just think they're fun. Maybe some more hints of like a Yvrain themed character potentially, like something that straddles the line between the two. Maybe new versions of the Carbolite Warriors, though I think they have aged pretty well, both them and the Incubi and the Witches. They've all aged pretty well. They're just expensive
Yes,
as
what they
shit
are.
for what you get.
Yeah.
The Talos, I don't like this version of the Talos. I actually kind of prefer the old Third Ed version of the Talos a bit more, if I'm honest. So probably a redo of the Talos in there, because that thing used to be terrifying back in Third Ed. I want it to be terrifying again. So yeah, a Yvrain type character, something that could be used in either or, would definitely be in there. A Homunculus, a Talos, something like Grotesques, perhaps. You know, because we have Mandrakes, we have Rax, but what about some kind of grotesque, like Vac gene modified, just hideous monsters? You know, like what rat ogres are in Warhammer Fantasy. You know, like cobbled together from bodies and that kind of just absolute monstrosities. Maybe even with Xenos influences in there. And probably like a Dark Eldar Beastmaster with Void Beasts, because they haven't been around for who knows how long. Like, you know, if you remember back, but they were like old school Dark Eldar, so I'd probably bring those back in the box as well. And then I would add some sort of new firepower unit, like Carbolite Warriors with Splinter Cannons as like their own separate unit, something like that. Because one thing Dark Eldar doesn't have a lot of, it's never had a lot of, is firepower. They always have to rely on taking like Venoms or Raiders or something, or like Scourges at most, but even Scourges are kind of like glass cannons, and they don't put in an awful lot of firepower. It's usually being like up close blast fire or long range splinter fire, so something bigger, heavier, I won't say more armored necessarily, but like on foot, that can bring some of that firepower. Maybe like kind of like, you know, the Reaver bikes the Dark Eldar have? Imagine like a Reaver bike without a rider, but it's just like got a massive gun attached to the bike, and there's like dudes on foot next to it controlling it. So kind of like an inverse version of like the Craftworld Eldar's weapons platforms. See how the platform sits low with the gun on top? Well, imagine this is like a platform that sits high with the gun hanging underneath. So it's like an inverse of what the Craftworlds are.
I got you. Okay.
So,
all
I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's very much off the cuff what I would do, but I think I made it coherent.
So are you ready, Kaifer? Are you ready for you to give us your take?
Yeah, if I could have my full control over what I would have in that box, I think I'd actually, in the spirit of exploration and doing something different, I wouldn't have Space Marines in the box. And if it must be a 2-player starter box, I think I'd prefer Imperial Guard versus Chaos Space Marines. You still have Marines in there, and I do like this premise from a point of view of just showing that, yeah, I think if you gave Chaos Space Marines the opportunity, I think they would sell. I'm not going to claim loyalist numbers in terms of popularity, but I think they would show an increase because I think they're still Marine.
You're going on the classic route then. You're going to give them literally like, let's return to form sort of a thing. Then let's bring them back.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of in a mood as of late to kind of give the non-special snowflake Chaos Space Marine legions just some love, because I think they're due for it, and they're hurting it in some weird ways. Like, I think we can almost take the loyalist units and just do the chaos equivalent, and I think it'd be a fairly compelling box set if it was all forge based. And you know, it's coded as Iron Warriors, but it's, you know, for any Chaos Space Marine Legion.
With you.
I think we could use a lieutenant equivalent leader for the Chaos Space Marines, right? Like another Build-A-Bear, but not as full on as a Chaos Lord. Like, bring back the aspiring champion, or sorry, exalted champion. Maybe that's like the right role for it. To have that, not quite a Chaos Lord, but something in between, to lead your units as a. And that could be the Star Commander of the box. And then if you want to have another support Psyker or something weird, you're free to. But I would use this box set as an opportunity to do Chosen with better selection of war gear that isn't so awkwardly limited. Largely, that problem is just dictated by rules because you cannot facilitate all the war gear options in the kit that would be necessary for a unit like Chosen, because they should have access to the full armory, and by all like logical sense in world they would, right? So another take at the unit doesn't exactly help that, but I think it wouldn't hurt. I think it'd go a long way, really. And then I think in lieu of a heavier support option, you could bring back the Mutilator and Obliterator as a dual build kit. Like currently, Obliterators are still, I believe, locked to that Shadow Spear sprue set monopose configuration. Yeah. And to be honest, I don't particularly like the semi-Hellbrute aesthetic they've gone with. I would kind of prefer a return to the classic what was it called? The flesh metal weapon virus, the Obliterator virus.
Terminator.
Yeah,
mutated Terminator. Just
I think that
Terminator, but mutated.
Yeah, I think that's the space you want to kind of operate within with them. Unfortunately, you've already scale crept them, so you can't go back to the 40 millimeter. Part of me thinks, like, as Maka pointed out, GW really loves their unit of 3-man specialist teams that are better than your average line infantry.
Yes.
You know how you fix that though, Kaifa? You do what I did for my 3.5 army I'm working on. Do them as Sat-9 Terminators.
Yeah, I think that
you get a holdover from the Heresy, so you get to bring that Heresy aesthetic across, like they've done with other units. Like they did a lot of Death Guard models are Heresy armored, so are a lot of the Thousand Suns models. So do the same thing. Do Sat-9, but because they'll be mutated and weird, they're clearly gonna be like cross compatible with Heresy, so you don't have that problem where people can use proxy one from the other. Instead, they can be like hunched over and have really obscure, weird-looking guns and stuff. And
I like that a lot. That is a better.
Because the scale's right and everything.
And then look, GW sculptors at GW like to copy paste, so like we know that they can do a little bit of copying pasting to build a new refined Obliterator Mutilator dual build kit. I think that would go a long way as well. Yeah, I'd probably just have and Chaos Bikers. So maybe it's not a forge set at all, but I think a redo of the Chaos Space Marine Bike Squad would be like, it would go a super long way because those things are really showing their age.
Well, I mentioned that the other day in a video I did.
It comes to mind, honestly.
And it's replace the bikes with jet bikes. Because again, it's heresy equipment that Chaos should fucking have.
Yeah.
And you can just have it run on a different fuel source. The DeLorean ran on uranium in the first Back to the Future film, but then it had Mr. Fusion in, and then alcohol or whatever, and a steam train Back to the Future 3. So same thing. I think like cram a demon in there, demon batteries. Because you look at like the like Forge Fiend or the Mauler Fiend, and if you look at those models, I know I'm taking over your segment here. I apologize.
No, it's all good.
If you look at the Forge Fiend or the Mauler Fiend, right, and you look at like their body, like how they got that ribbed body, they've got like these like grills on their chest, which you can see like glowing like energies coming out of, and then on the back of them, they've got like all those smokestacks, as it were, with like the leering faces on them, with again like orange energy glowing out. It's like you could do that on a jet bike. Like just imagine if you look at like the Forge Fiend's arms, how it's got those ectoplasma cannon arms. Just imagine that, but with someone riding the arm.
That's actually a great aesthetic kind of way to go about imagining it, right? Like, 'cause I think that works fairly well. I could imagine that is the ultimate aesthetic we end up with for a 40k, a tainted version of a grav bike, basically, right?
Yeah, because otherwise you're just aping the Marines, and it's like they're stuck in this mindset. I've mentioned it many times of Chaos isn't allowed to have what Loyalists have. And you're like, okay, that was cool back when like demons and all that was folded in, and all of Chaos could all be picked from the one book, and you had access to everything, and you could do whatever you want to customize a legion. All that shit's gone. So, and the whole reason it was like, oh, you can't take whirlwinds, and you can't take vindicators, and you can't take venerable dreadnoughts, and you can't take land speeders, is because they wanted that visual distinctiveness between the two. It was like, okay, well, why don't you give us that distinctiveness now? Because Primaris have gone their own way. So why don't you take all that Heresy era equipment and just port over weird versions of it to 40k? Because then it like harkens back to what they were, and you can see their like twisted, corrupted versions of the Loyalist stuff. Like, it's visual storytelling, right?
Oh, 100%. I don't think any of us would disagree with that.
No.
Like you, I've watched a video of yours where you were talking about you made some plasma guns. Like a squad of plasma guns, and it's a completely illegal loadout. You just did it for funsies, which I'm all on board with. But in that video, not to again take away from it, go watch the video. It's good, audience. But you mentioned in there, it was like, well, why? Like, why is the Primaris Marines have whole squads of special weapons teams, which is a very Legion thing to do, in the time post chapters? Meanwhile, Chaos, which never broke down into chapters and was restricted on war gear in the same fashion that Loyalist has all these restrictions on war gear. It doesn't make any sense. Like, why aren't they still operating Legion loadouts?
They should be. Even when you read books like the Night Lord, things like that they're using Legion weaponry. They're using weaponry that is seen as behind the times, but also like extremely powerful and unreliable because it's so old. That's cool. That's awesome. Like it means
you want to characterize them.
Yeah. The Black Legion and Chaos should not just be Dark Primaris. That's not what I want. I want to see Volkite weaponry. I want to see, Grav weaponry. I want to see all these different things that have gone out of fashion or have just been lost be a part of their armory. I want Cataphracti Terminators. I don't want to see. I don't like the Chaos Terminators with the horns. They're just not like normal Terminators with a few spiky bits. No. I want Cataphracti.
The Dominus Terminators.
Yeah, I want Great Crusade era Terminators. That's what I want. As my bulk them up and give them spikes, give them all these other things, patch them up. But I want that. I don't want evil Marines.
You know what the problem with that is, though? It's that they're still stuck in that, like, they've never gotten over that mentality of Chaos Space Marines are just a fucking mess of renegades. Yeah. They've never gotten over that hurdle where it's like, they know from 3rd and 4th edition 40k, people love the Legions. And so they understand enough to make 4 Legion books, like, Zinch, Khorne, Nurgle, Slanesh, right? They understand that, but they can't commit to it. Instead, they keep trying to make just Chaos is a renegade shit show a thing, where it's always you're just using downgraded versions of Loyalist equipment at best. They can't get over that hurdle where it's like, I think they're still pissy that we just never accepted Red Corsairs as the face of Chaos. Yeah. Like going back to when they tried to make it the thing. It's like, not that they're not cool, Red Corsairs, it's just like, but when we think of Chaos, we think of the Legions.
Exactly, yeah.
And I will still maintain that Chaos needs 3 distinct focuses. Legions, Renegades, and cults / your Renegade militia. And that's where you have your mutants and your Renegade Imperial Guard regiments and Xenos fucking take-ins and all that kind of stuff is in that book. And then you've got your Renegades is like your Red Corsairs, and that's where you get things like the Indomitus Armored Terminators and the, Space Marines on bikes and land spears and shit like that, like the stolen equipment. And then the Legions is exactly that. It's the Legions. Much more limiting, but much more powerful play style.
Oh, I like that paradigm a lot. It's compelling.
Because the Legions to me should be more like a halfway house between like Marines and Grey Knights. It's like you're not Grey Knight levels of power, because no one should be if you really read the lore. I think that's probably close to North's heart. But it's like they got a lot of fucking experience, and especially with the powers of the warp backing them and the marks of chaos, they're getting close. Like they're touching. They're in the same ballpark.
Yeah, right.
This is a Goku versus Perfect Cell. Like, you're in the ballpark. You're not enough to kill him, but you can hurt him. right?
Yes.
That's Chaos Space Marines next to Grey Knights, like the Legions.
Mhm.
Whereas your regular Chaos Space Marine, who's just your turncoat, just a regular Red Corsair, he's screwed against a Grey Knight, right? Because he's basically just an Ultramarine who's got a non-regulation haircut. Like, nah, it's fucking nothing, you know. And so Legion should always be like smaller, more elite forces, and you can build fun things around that into like your starter box that you were talking about, Kaifa. Before I so rudely interrupted.
That's a worthy tangent. It's all good.
It's a good idea though, because it means that you can expand the box set with more bits. You can have your Legion core of like 20 Marines, but then that's it though. And they've taken from their ship a load of thralls and a load of arming slaves and some demons are in there. Some. Hey, it'd be pretty cool. I like it. I like the idea of creating like a more of a super army than what we already have.
Yeah, do you think like a possessed Space Marine is something that should be taken down by a regular Primaris Marine? If you answer yes, you're an idiot. So, it's a no, right? Because like, well, then why even add the demon in the first place if it doesn't give you some dramatic advantage?
That's exactly it. There needs to be some. Well, we've all said it before, but yeah.
Well, that's why I like Fabius Bile, and that's why I said like if I was doing a Chaos Star set, it would have Fabius Bile in it. And the elite unit in that would be enhanced Chaos Space Marines that Fabius Bile has like cooked up. Because I always reiterate that should have been the impetus for Primaris Marines, should have been the Imperium reacting to seeing what he cooked up and going, oh shit, we need to fucking meet and match this new level, right? Like an arms race in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone else brings out a new tank, your country brings out a new tank. It's that tit for tat thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Fabius Bile should have been bringing out that MiG-25 Foxbat, and then the Imperium responds with the F-15. That's what it should have been like. And instead, it was the other way around. It was like the Imperium's like, look, we know we're doing just fine, but look, now Marines are even better. It's like, oh,
terrible. I hate
cool.
it.
So
on that, I have let's get to I guess these two box sets I can't really compete with because I
hold on. I had one.
Oh, sorry.
One more.
Go ahead, man.
I think it's very important, and I think it'll be the ultimate litmus test for can Chaos Space Marines, can the Traitor Space Marines sell as well as the Loyalists?
Oh, okay.
And I think it's a Chaos Dreadnought. I think you bring back a new up to the new size standard like the Redemptor, a Chaos Dreadnought, and I suspect it'll just fly. I think that's such a beloved model. I think if you make it a multi-part kit with, accessories for each Chaos mark, right? Like kind of like how the old Chaos vehicles used to have that upgrade sprue.
I like the idea.
Like the Demon Prince, the current Demon Prince has.
Yeah, the current Demon Prince, perfect example. Yeah, current Demon Prince has those options to reflect the different way you want to mark your. Because I don't think anyone really likes the Hellbrute as much. Everyone calls it a Dreadnought anyways. The Hellbrute is really cool for, as a word bearer's guy. I think, that's kind of neat, right? But for the rest of the legions, I think you really, the Chaos Dreadnought is much beloved, and I think very much desired to have Chaos Dreadnoughts back. And also all the models in this box would be at least as thick and tall as Primaris. None of this Primaris have to be bigger. I hate that shit. I think your villains need to be larger. They need to be imposing. And pairing that against the Guard in this case should be like chef's kiss. Because you want them to feel like bullies, right? The Chaos Space Marine should feel like heels of the antagonists of the setting. They need to be imposing.
I like the idea of build your own Chaos Dreadnought. I think it should be you get all the parts to build it in any which way you want. That'd be the gimmick. That'd be a really good gimmick of a box set of like, yeah, if you want to do Chaos, here is your Dreadnought. You can be shooty, you can be tanky, you can be combat, you can be this, you can be that. There are conversion bits in there. That'd be really cool. I like the idea of that a lot. I think that'd be low-key, probably the best set they've ever made if they brought that out. And a litmus test is a good way of putting it, because if that doesn't sell, then you've got the excuse to say, well, look, we tried, and it didn't work, and it's the best thing.
And Yeah, and if it's not like a pivot that you want to make going forward, at least you've like sorted out a lot
It's
of these
there.
awkward Chaos
Yeah.
Space Marine models and units that are like needing an up res.
You've shown up the defenses. You've. I like what you've done. I really do. I'd probably, no offense to Maka, I'd probably buy this box set more than Maka's box set. Mainly because Chaos are just fucking rad, and I really, really love Chaos, and I've always been wanting to build an army of them. I just can't bring myself to do that much brass detail, so I've always like gone, well, I'll just do another Eldar, that kind of a thing. But yeah, awesome, man. So I don't think you guys are gonna like mine, because mine is lore oriented, and I've called it the Fuck It We Ball box set, or the Committing to the Bit box set. It's Grey Knights versus Custodes, because it'd be very, very, very funny, and it would just, if you're going to update both, then do them in the same box set. Games Workshop, grow a pair of balls. You put the Grey Knights up against the Custodes. I'm making you do it. I'm making you give us the box set. I'm making you literally go, okay, we're on Terra. We're approaching the throne room. We're throwing down. What's going on? How's it going down? Right? You got maybe 20 Custodes and a Dreadnought against like 30 to 40 Grey Knights in a box set, Primaris sized. Drago's there with an updated sculpt. Everyone and it's all fun and rainbows. Everyone gets what they want. It's an all-marine box set, yes, but so is a Chaos versus Space Marines box set, We've just got two different versions of Space Marines here. So I would update the Custodes to be a lot larger and a lot more in keeping with the Blanche artwork and things like that. And I would update, obviously, the Grey Knights to be Primaris Marines. And I'd give you a definitive answer to what happens when the Grey Knights try to enact the Terminus Decree. Stop introducing shit to the lore that you never look at again. I'm holding your feet to the fire. You will bring this out, 11th edition. It will be the 11th. It will be so funny to see the memes, to see the meltdown, just to see everybody lose their fucking minds because the Grey Knights got something, and they're not allowed to have anything. They got something. The Custodians got something, and everybody else can suck a dick. And of course, this might be the bow out of the Grey Knights, because they're not going to beat the Custodes. You'd have to find some way of Deus Ex Machina-ing your way out of there, but no, I want to see it. You teased it, so do it. Like, do it. If you're going to give me...
Would they all be female Custodes?
No. I would absolutely... if I'm going down the meme route, at least two of them will have bodices on. Like actual tits, like literally, so you can say there are female Custodes, but they must fight with their tits out. They must fight with the cleavage showing. It's just how it is, because the Emperor's a Chad, and that's what he likes. He likes watching them stride around. But no, I would have just the Custodes be the normal Custodes guys. You can imagine them being female if you want, if you're that way inclined. But as they say in the Pendragon book, you can play a female knight, but like tit armor isn't a thing. So you need to be quite, you know what I mean? Like, because that thing would get caved into your chest in a second. So, yeah, you will look like a man if you're in armor. That's all we're saying. So yeah, that's my box set. It is the Commit to the Bit, stop being cowards, commit to the bit box set. Hold their feet to the fire. Do it. Don't tease it. Do it. That's my box set. And no one would buy it. It tanked the company, but I'd buy it and I'd be happy. So fuck them. It's my box set, and that's what I'm gonna do. Silence, shocked silence, just like the pair of you, just
No,
like,
no,
oh my god, like, that's awful.
It's not my favorite pairing for a box,
Yeah,
but I
good.
think maybe there might be some. I think it might sell better than you think. I think
Yeah.
the must buys will. I think people will meme the shit out of it.
Yes.
I think it might be successful. I don't know.
Dude,
I
it-
hate
Sell
it.
very, very poorly.
yeah,
You do? Okay.
yes.
Good.
I don't
I'm
think
happy
it's
to
sell
hear
at all. I don't think it's sell at all, because there's no Space Marines in the box set.
New Grey Knights
Yeah.
would be enough to get some sales, but Custodes models look like shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd have to redo them. That
Well,
was
yeah,
part of your
I would
premise,
redo
right?
them. That's what I'm saying.
But
They would be
the
redone.
Yeah, but even if you redo them, right, the problem we fall into is now it's been established and there's so much artwork, they're not going to deviate from the artwork, so they're not going to make Custodes look as good as they did in the old, like, Horus Heresy trading card Visions of Heresy era, you're going to be stuck with those awful giant fucking surfboard swords and the lack of robes on the basic dudes. You're going to be stuck with those terrible looking glaive halberd things they've got, which are just absurdly like oversized, like that big chopper, like an orc chopper on the end of a fucking stick they have. And people think I'm being facetious probably, but if you look at the Phoenix Terminators in Horus Heresy, they supposedly modeled their Phoenix spears, you know, those thin, delicate spears on the Custodes weapons. You look at the Custodes and they're rocking around with fucking orc choppers. You know, how the fuck did the Emperor's Children end up at that point then? You know, these like beautiful, elegant, sleek spears looking next to that crap. It's like, no, unless you get away from that and you make the Custodes in 40k, the Custodes of 30k, with the awesome looking like Telamon Dreadnought or their grav tanks, like all their grav vehicles are gorgeous in 30k. It's like, so unless you got to port that aesthetic across, right? Because we all know the Custodes plastics were ruined because Games Workshop touched them in the first place, like, because they're the ones who gave us the Custodian Guard, which nobody,
Right.
you know, nobody was expecting that Prospero box coming off of the Kelth box, and they just sort of, yeah, we've got to do Custodes in plastic. So then they just shit the bed when they did them, with their tiny little legs and their massive ass shoulders and the horrible, horrible proportions.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the proportions were terrible.
The only ones that look good are the Alaris Custodes in plastic because they've got the bigger legs and that sort of Terminator-ish build, and the Custodian Wardens because they have the robes that they're supposed to have as per like the old Visions of Heresy, because it covers the lower half of the body and artificially bulks it out. So it makes them work. Right?
Yeah,
the rest of them look like,
no doubt.
Yeah, the rest of them look like shit, right? In 40k. And they don't even have a fucking tank. They got a gold painted Land Raider. This is like a 2003 era fucking sculpt.
The reason I don't think
a 2003 era sculpt. Like,
this would not sell, and the reason why it would not sell is there are, as I said before, there are no Space Marines in this box. The Grey Knights are technically Space Marines, I get it, but they're not really Primara Space. You know what I mean? Like they would look.
Yeah, you
different.
can't add them to your
People
army.
would buy the Grey Knight half though. Like if you
Sure,
Grey
Knight players
half,
would. Yeah, and Grey Knight people who think Grey Knights are cool would, but that's not everybody. You know what I mean? Like it's like kind of having the Dark Vengeance.
I think it's more than you think though. More people would buy than you think, because like remember, the average consumer is not a smart creature. A consumer, you know, think about how well many of these box sets have sold despite like not having that great of content in them. Look at 9th edition's box as an example. Necron half is one thing, right?
I
But
could
look
look
at the
you one.
Marine half in that.
Dark Vengeance. Dark Vengeance is easily the worst box set they've ever brought. It had Dark Angels in it that were just not very well put together, and they had generic
Renegades.
Chaos, Renegades, and loads of cultists, and not very many Marines. Terrible box set. Hellbrute in it looked very silly. You know, it just and it did sell. It didn't sell. It was one of the worst selling box sets they've ever brought out as a starter box set, but it still sold. They flew off the shelves when we had them. So, you know, and until people got wise to the fact that okay, the biggest sin that box made was these are Dark Angels and you can't make them as anything else. It's all welded on. Like all the details are there. You can't get rid of them. That was fucking stupid, and that's why
that Hellbrute
went the other way.
That Hellbrute coming off of the 2nd edition Chaos Dreadnought in white metal though sold, even though it was crap. You know why people hate the Demon Engines and the Hellbrute? Like, do you know why? I think you guys know why. Take one guess.
I'd say they deviate too far from like what the actual base is supposed to be.
No.
Just
No.
Okay.
You haven't got a Chaos Army, so it's a bit harder for you to guess that.
It is, yeah.
Kaifa, you get one guess. Why do people hate them?
I feel like I'm gonna let you down. I haven't actually had too many people with demon engines on the whole. I've had people with grievances in my local play group with Hellbrutes for sure, but it's more leading to the point I made with Chaos Dreads. That's what they wanted, and out of not getting like, we have Chaos Dreadnought at home and it's a Hellbrute, that kind of meme. But if I had to guess, the answer to your question is Trim.
Close.
No, okay.
Close. On the the Hell Turkey, probably, I would agree with you, or on the Raptors. The Raptors are the most egregious models in the Chaos range that definitely need a redo. It's flesh.
Huh.
Nobody
the monster
wants to
bits.
paint. Yeah, nobody wants to paint the flesh because it's really easy to paint power armor, right? But when you've got things like Black Legion, who's painted pale flesh with a black starting
Oh, it looks
base
terrible.
coat? Yes.
Yeah.
So you need to know what you're doing to get it to look right. You know, that's you've had a couple years in the hobby to learn to understand how to manipulate the paintbrush type thing, right? And it always looks like crap if you're not very good with the paintbrush. There's no way of getting around that, right? Even if you spray paint the model white, now the armor panels are gonna look like shit when you try and paint those. So it's a lose-lose of you've got to not only paint the armor, but you've got to paint all this trim. You've got to paint all these weird details like skulls and pipes that are all over the place. But then you've got to paint flesh. And it lets down the obliterators and it lets down all of the demon engines. Because even though it's a cool, like, to see a Games Workshop kit with it on, and it looks cool in video games, that kind of thing, going through the experience of actually doing it and getting satisfying results as a hobbyist is a different kettle of fish. And it makes conversions extra fucking tedious. Because you want to convert a Hellbrute, how do you do that? How do you make a Hellbrute which has 2 gun arms? Because the only guns you've got to pick from are all designed for the right arm, right? Right, literally. Where it's like the plasma cannon or whatever, and it's all warped into flesh and muscle. So if you want to convert that to the left arm, you not only got to like cut whatever is on the left side off, you've now got this gun which you've got to remove an entire like right arm, like bicep, tricep, and shoulder off of in flesh. And then you got to re-sculpt it all in flesh and then blend it into existing flesh on the other side. That's horrible. That's a horrible thing to do. Like, it works with something like Tyranids because they've all got ball socket arms. So if you got a Carnifex or you've got a Tervagon or something, just, okay, glue a different thing into that ball socket. Doesn't work on a Hellbrute because it's like a very specific monopose. This arm goes on this pose in this way, and if you even fucking think about posing in another way, Games Workshop will personally come around your house and kick your puppy. Like, that's just the way it works. And nobody wants that. It's pain to convert, so you can't make it feel like it's your own thing. It's not your guys. It's their guys. You're just got the privilege of purchasing their models that they've decided you will have. And that's not the hobby, and that's why people hate it.
No, it's an excellent point.
Yeah. No, I like it. All right. Well, so those are the ideal box sets. All right. Those are the ideal box sets, and so we've done the middle road of what we think is feasible and what we'd like to see. We've done exactly what we would have done if it was all better off. Now we're gonna have we'll make this the shortest one because I'm reticent of time for people who are up late or have other things to do. So, what do we think they're going to do in 11th edition? This should be the shortest one because it's the most obvious. But what do we think they're going to do? Let's go with Kaifa first. What do you reckon they're going to do with the 11th edition starter box set?
I feel like it'll be Ultramarines.
Yep.
Surprise, surprise. Maybe we'll get a redone tax squad, sort of in line with what Mac was grabbing with the intercessors, some manner of that, like more worn, like the blood claws, different helmets, that sort of thing. More classic. And then I'll cringe in my heart because I'm like, wow, what a road it's been, right? But
what a ride! What a ride!
Yeah, I think we'll probably get a Grav specialist unit for Primaris, some Gravitor type Primaris squad. That's all Grav weapons, and probably versus Orcs because I think there's some units that could be redone. I think they're a safer, more friendly choice to Dark Eldar. I'd prefer Dark Eldar in the Space Marine Must box set, but I think racks are like all the stuff Maka mentioned. All those homunculus units are wanting for a redo. But I think it'll be Orcs, and then they'll fix the battle line, the main boys unit, so that you can actually build a full squad as you would prefer them to be. That would be my guess.
I would literally do exactly what you're saying, but with Dark Eldar. I think them releasing some Dark Eldar this edition and then leaving the rest means we're probably getting a big update in the next Dark.
Yeah, I think it's between those two. Those make the most sense.
Yeah,
I think Dark
I think
Eldar
that's
is
how it's going to be.
more to my preference.
It'll
but-
be a Dark Eldar raid on Ultramar. There you go. It'll be a massive Dark Eldar raid, and maybe it's a vehicle for bringing back Lehman Russ because he's in there fighting Dark Eldar probably. You know, maybe it's a vehicle for him to come back. But it will be a big Drukhari raid on Ultramar. Will be where we are with 10th edition, 11th edition, in my opinion. Maybe we'll get a new Calgar. That'd be nice.
Jesus.
Yeah. No, I think it will be Ultramarines on the box. And it will be Ultramarines against. Yeah, it's the villain of the week. It's what they do. Every single starter box set is now Ultramar. It's the villain of the week coming to Ultramar and getting their shit kicked in. Because Ultramarines are amazing, apparently, and they get to do everything that they ever want to do. So we've had Tyranids, we have Necrons, and now we're getting Drukhari, in my opinion. What do you reckon, Matt?
I don't think they'll do Drukhari because the whole Yvrain and that you need all that faction, like they're not evil enough. Like they've shifted because of all those changes to the law to more of a neutral faction. Like, yeah, they cause problems for the Imperium, but they're not like going to come out and try and wipe out the Imperium. They're not that kind of a threat. Like the Dark Eldar are gunning for the Imperium.
Oh no, they're trying to take it down. No, they're raiding.
Whereas like Necrons can, Tyranids can, Orcs can. So that's why they work well, and Chaos can. That's why they're all good for starter sets. So I would still stick with Orcs being in it. I think it will be a lot more boring than the suggestions I had. Just some shitty new war boss. Maybe like, I don't know, shock attack guns or something, you know, like just real generic, like, okay, we're going down this path type units. I don't have a lot of confidence, but they've done nothing to give me a lot of confidence because we've got every starter set going back to fucking 1987 to pick from, right? We know what goes into them. The Marine half, I think, is even sadder because I expect another Primaris slop lieutenant or captain in regular Primaris armor. What I think they'll do is they'll do like Eradicator type squad, but with graviton, like grav cannons instead. I don't think they'll go down the heavy bolter or Volkite route, like I said. I think they'll go the grav cannons. I think for the elite unit in the box, it'll be like not Blade Guard veterans, not Stern Guard veterans, but kind of like the old Vanguard veterans.
Yeah,
so
makes perfect
even
sense.
more close combat-y. Because, you know, Marines need a unit for every single niche, right? It's like Blade Guard veterans have shields. Well, like, they're more defensive. These guys are the offensive veterans.
Stop it. It's terrible. That is how they come across, though. That is the writing on there.
I would not be shocked if they made the squad in there instead of Primaris Intercessors. It'd be like Primaris Intercessors with like boarding shields or combat shields.
Like a stolen, not
like
stolen
a
idea,
breacher
but
unit.
Trying to meld something.
Kind of
in,
like breaches
Like
in
a-
30k.
Yeah.
You know?
Just make them more like the Horus Heresy. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, because they seem to want to ape on the legions. Like, here's your plasma unit, here's your flamer unit, here's your fucking shitty fucking t-shirt cannon launching fucking unit. So I expect them to head down that path. The interesting trend that I would like to point out is units that they've not gone back to because they obviously didn't tick the right box. So Inceptors, you know, the dudes that look like the NASA astronauts with the heavy bolters or the plasma guns that were like in the original Indominus Res. They've never revisited that, never done any other weapons, never done the other versions. So I don't think they'll do that. In fact, I think they'll quietly shuffle them off in the next few years.
I think that's
because obviously people aren't interested in that, and they wanted assault marines, right? And another one that falls into that category would be your aggressors. The aggressors, people want Terminators. They got their Terminators now. I see the aggressors being, again, quietly fucking taken out back and just hearing a muffled gunshot like old Yeller getting fucking put down, right? So I don't see anything happening with those units. So I don't see a resculpt happening of those units. I think they'll just quietly just push them to the side, you know? And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another, because they seem to put like a banner in every fucking box. In every
They've
Star
realized
Submarines
people
have a
like
banner.
banners now. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we get something that's more like a Roman Vexilia this time.
So it's even more leaning
Just-
into Ultramarines. These are Ultramarines.
Yes.
You don't
Yes,
get
I'm
to
calling
decide.
it now. It's if you've seen 30k Gilliman's base, like all those Vexilias that are like on
Calvin,
Marvel
and all
columns,
this, all those
yeah,
names.
yeah, it's going to be like that,
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon
Just to make it different from the other banners.
Any Dreadnought we see will have Ultramarines campaign markings in the plastic. Yeah, it'd be something like that. They're gonna take the mask off eventually and say, look, no, this is what they are. Stop painting them differently. Like they're literally Ultramarines.
If they do a Dreadnought, I don't think it'll be Ironclad, like in my suggestion.
No, it
I
wouldn't
think it'll
be,
like the Venerable.
Yeah.
It'll probably be the Venerable version of the existing Dreadnought, locked into a monopose because it's a starter box.
And locked with a
armed
war gear
with-
option too.
Yeah, locked to like a Power Fist las cannon combo or something. Like it's very old, iconic, and it'll have like all of. You remember the plastic Venerable Dreadnought had like all the engravings, like the Imperial like.
Man, that kit was awesome.
Gothic script carved into its chest. It'll probably be like that, and just a bunch of purity seals or something. Like it'll be very play it safe, just enough to get dumbass Space Marine players to fucking buy into it for the meta, but nothing groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe with a fucking character, the shitty lieutenant in the box will have Henry Cavill's face sculpted on it, or something to fucking grease the fucking player base a little bit.
Enricus Cavilius,
Yeah,
whatever his name is.
Yeah, Cavilius. Yeah, there you go.
Cavilius.
And I don't think they'll do any like Reverie type stuff or any like that
Like Bomos, no.
Jiggings armor. No,
Yeah.
I think they're gonna just very, very safe. What character weapon combo haven't they had yet for a lieutenant? Whatever that is, that's what it'll be. So like if they haven't done a lieutenant with like a lightning core, then you'll get a lightning core, If they haven't done a lieutenant, I don't know, what have they? They've done Power Fists, they've done Thunder Hammers, they've done swords to the shit
Actually,
house.
you know what? I don't know if you can do Thunder Lieutenant. I haven't played Space
They've
Marines.
done it. They've done it. They've done the one with the jump pack. Had it.
I don't think there is a lieutenant with jump pack either.
There's
It's a captain.
with jump pack.
A captain. Oh, sorry, you said
Yeah.
captain or lieutenant?
Oh, either or. They're all
yeah,
the fucking
yeah.
same,
All
right?
right. I got
Primaris
you.
Marines are all the same. You only know they're a captain or a lieutenant if you're told. See, in Heresy, you know what a Praetor is because he has an iron halo and he's got a shit ton of bling, whereas a regular consul is just like basically slightly nicer power armor. 40k isn't like that.
No, I don't know. I feel like it's not as the disparity isn't as bad as you're making it out to be. I think your captains have your cape and your iron halo, lieutenants don't, and they have that. Depending if you paint them, codex compliant. The helmet's an easy sell. I'll steel man a little bit.
Yeah,
That's okay. I can take that. I can live with that. I think you actually it's probably not that you can't pick your lieutenants out from your captains. It's that you can't pick your lieutenants out from your squad sergeants. It's probably a fairer way of putting it. Because they don't have cloaks. They're in the same power armor with the same markings. They just might have an extra purity seal because they don't have like the Roman crest or the Greek crest, like the feathered crests or anything on the plumes on top of their helmets. They don't have any of that.
Yeah, they're a bit plain.
They're very plain, some of them.
Yeah, for a character, certainly.
So I'll take the pushback on that. That's perfectly fine. A chaplain, maybe. I could see them putting a Primaris chaplain in the box. Or doing some other bullshit, like... You remember how they had, like, that executioner dude in one of the boxes? And
oh, yes.
They might try something like that, where it's like some kind of other, not librarian psyker, like the anti-demon mancer type thing, something like that. The Ghostbuster, what do you call it? But like something like
He's
that.
the
Because
exorcist. Okay, he's cool. He's the coolest. He's better than Grey Knight at proving demons.
Before, right?
Wouldn't you know?
They've put a lot of characters in these boxes who you're like, oh, that could be a chaplain. They're like, oh no, it's not. Okay, like was it the Judicar? The Judicar was in the box.
That's what he's called. the guy you're thinking of.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh, that's not a chaplain. Okay, then, that's different. Yeah, just some gimmick like that. And you know what? Oh, maybe it'll be like a captain with like a big two-handed axe, like that Nurgle Terminator was in Indominus. You know, that gigantic axe.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be something like that. You know, like remember the Space Marine, the Lord Executioner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, something really like, really when you see the reveal. Like, I want the difference in the depressing version of the game that I'm coming up with now to really contrast with my bright and hopeful but plausible version that I started the episode with. Where it's like, one gives you interesting choices of the units, the other one is like more of the same slop.
Yeah, I got you.
You know?
I got you. Well, I think we've covered everything. Like what we think is going to happen, what we would like to happen, and what we would like realistically to happen in back to front ways there. So, do you guys have any plans over Christmas for your channels? Anything you want to shout out of what's going to be going on over there, or?
Probably pretty quiet on my end this holiday season. See, I might do a painting stream in between, time depending, but it'll be pretty like chill on the video side for a little bit.
Okay. Robert, you, Maka?
Well, it's Christmas Eve now, in Down Under, and I will be doing the post Festivus video. That will probably be on our Boxing Day, so might just be the tail end of Christmas Day for the American continent.
Something to look forward to.
Probably early Boxing Day for the rest of the world.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining me, guys. What are we doing next on Grimdark Therapy? I think it's Kaifa next. What are we up to?
So I have two premises. We'll figure it out at I guess during the week maybe. But the if I were to tease them, I'm thinking we can tackle a premise like every concept in lore post 8th edition has been fumbled terribly, and we can go through all of those, kind of like a trip down memory lane of like new 40k
lore, into like
right?
a tier list where we rate it, so it's like how
it could
much
be in a tier list. Yeah, that might be a more enjoyable format. And I have another premise around like well, I need to go with the first one, I think that is more compelling.
I think it's a really good shout. I think it's a really good one, especially if we're getting to the end of 10th edition, like a good recap of like, okay, what's worked, what hasn't. Mostly hasn't, but let's see when we go through it. That'd be cool.
I think that's a good one. We'll probably settle with that.
Okay.
And you need to name like your tiers based on like all the lore up to 8th edition.
A Gathering Storm tier like this, like.
Yeah, like and it can be like a high to low rating where it's like, Drago carving his name into Mortarian's heart.
Awful.
Yeah, like those could be the tier titles. Like, just how bad can it be? It's like the top tier is like, I don't know, like the Horus Rising tier or something, like good fluff, good reimagined fluff. Those early heresy books were something like that, And the last one's like the John French fucking tier. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one.
Well, there you go, dudes. We will have a very Merry Christmas to those of you who have followed along to the Grimdark Therapy YouTube series. Go and check out, again, if you've not seen any of the other episodes, because I know a lot of you haven't, you always wait for mine on this channel. Go and watch the others. They're on all the channels. There's far more. I'm on there. Everyone's on there. Have some fun. There are like maybe 100 hours of content now. Approaching. Got to be approaching. So yeah. Have a look around at
22 episodes, yeah.
Yeah. Have a look at Maka's channel. Have a look at Kaifa's channel, What the 40k. And there's lots more there. So we'll see you guys in the new year. Or maybe before. We'll see.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Be safe. Love you all.